Well, Kentucky can't seem to land anybody in the transfer portal. Why? We'll talk about it on today's episode of the Wildcats Today Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak, publisher over at Kentucky Wildcats on SI, joined as always by Carson Nash. And Carson, we were in a heck of a mood on Monday. We were going to Keeneland. We had all this exciting stuff going on in the portal. Now Keeneland's canceled, and we can't get any damn players in the transfer portal. How are you feeling despite all of this? Because I'm not feeling great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still trusting in Pope. I think it's still a little too early to get upset. I know University 6 has gotten 3 commitments, so that's probably making everybody freak out a little bit. But I mean, they took 3 guards, so they're paid like $8 million for 3 guards. So don't freak out too much. I think Pope's going to get us back on the right track. And I mean, a lot of names still are floating out there. I mean, if Pope can land a guy we're getting ready to talk about in a little bit, Yaxel, I think none of this will really matter.
So here's the way I'm looking at this, Carson. Okay. I think that, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday, based on our conversations on this, my level of concern, I would say, is probably a 7.5. I'm kind of in the middle of 7 and 8. Would you say you're like a 5?
Yeah, I'll probably be around a 5.
What I don't like is now what I do believe this coaching staff has a plan. What I want is that to become clear to us soon. There's just been, so let's run through the guys that we've liked and missed. It started with Dent. That was obviously a painful one because that happened mid-game, Sweet 16. Since then, Silas Dimry, for example, just commits to UConn. Give me other names, people.
Well, Dent, Dimry, you think of Eagle Staff. There's a bunch of guys, but at the same time, like
Obi Agbim.
Yeah, and Magoon.
Waff. Yeah, that was a rough one too.
But at the same time, like Magoon went back to San Diego State, so like that's not a loss technically. I mean, he just went back.
Yeah.
And then you got Dimry, who UConn promised could be their 1. I didn't see Dimry as a 1 for us. So I liked him. I liked him a lot, but at the same time, I was a little questionable about how him and Ortega would fit together. And then Dent was kind of, I mean, you can't blame the kid for wanting to play 30 miles away from his home. So
I don't like you're not going to get every player you reach out to. That's like, obviously, I don't like that we're like 0 for 6 or 7 now. I mean, on the guys that we've reached out to. Now, the ones that really hurt were the Dent and the Guaf, because I think
Dent and Guaf were, for me, those were our only 2 true misses so far.
Yes. But like Eagle Staff, I don't know how much I'm not buying how deep we were in on that one. But I mean, I'm just getting to the point where I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, we're assuming that Ortega is going to come back. And I think that's a pretty safe assumption. You've already got Cam Williams, who I've turned around, and I really like Cam Williams. You know, I think that we need a guard. I think that we need a couple guards and a couple forwards. How many, I'll ask this, Carson, how many more players with who we anticipate coming back and Cam Williams on the team do you think that we need in the portal? I'm thinking 4 or 5 players probably.
More. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm right there with you, 4 or 5. I just counted 4 in my head, but I'd say probably 5 to be safe.
So, I mean, if you go get, and we're going to talk about these guys today, you go get Alvaro Figueres, you go get Yaxel Lindeborg, you go get, is it Jaron Pierre Jr.?
Jaron Pierre Jr.
Name. That's a cool name.
That is a cool name. Sounds French.
It does. Pierre. You go get him. You go get a couple of those guys. I mean, if our front court is Figueres and Lindeborg, oh my gosh. With Malachi Moreno, how good we'll talk about that for a minute too.
Yeah.
In a little bit too, but how good he looked in the McDonald's All-American game. Garrison back again. That's your backcourt. I mean, your front court, excuse me. That's a darn good front court, Carson. I mean, scary. So, I mean, and then the guard room, I mean, Jasper Johnson and the Caden Lewis are really good too. We got to remember that.
Yeah, I think people are not thinking about that enough. Like people are freaking out about the guard situation, which is rightfully so. I mean, we haven't landed anybody, but at the same time, you got to remember that Jasper Johnson and Caden Lewis are also they're both guards, and I have a feeling both of them will be able to play meaningful minutes next season.
Yeah. I mean, let me break down the roster for you right now. We'll do it this way. Okay. Do we kind of both agree that Ortega's kind of our 3? Like, I mean, that's what he really was last year, in essence.
Yeah, I'd say I put it 2 or 3 range. I mean, you can put him either.
Our roster right now, without I go at the 1. You've got a Caden. You aren't gonna like it, but Travis Perry is just not gonna be part of this conversation. It's just because he's deep down there, and I think that he's gonna be further back. And I mean, he's probably the point guard 3 when we bring in a guard, realistically. So we'll do that. We'll go a Caden Lewis, Travis Perry. Okay, that's our point guard. Our 2 guard right now is Jasper. And I mean, is that it right now? Right. I mean, where would you put Colin? Would you put Colin at the 2, or is he more of a 3?
Well, honestly, I would put Colin. I think we should develop Colin into a 1 or 2 because I think he's 6'6" and has this. I think he has a good enough handle to develop into a 1 guard.
So we'll do that. We'll go. We'll put him at the 1 just for craps and gigs because I do think he could be a great point guard. So we'll go Colin, Caden, Travis. There's your 1s right now. Your 2s is Jasper. 3, I'm gonna go Ortega, Cam Williams, Trent Noah. Then at your 4, I mean, you don't really have one. Then at your 5,
yeah, nobody. I guess BG played 4 some.
Yeah. Then at your 5, you got BG and Malachi Moreno. So that's our roster. To me, I think we need one more legit point guard. We need one legit, maybe 1, 2. I'd be cool with it 2. So 2 guards, a 1 and a 2. And then I think you need 2 or 3 guys because you need 2 power forwards. And I'd be cool if you took I think you need. I'd like to have our rotation in the front court be like 5 guys, between Brandon, Malachi, and then like Fulgaris, Lindenborg, and like maybe somebody else. But I think that's kind of where I'm at. So that's where we're at roster wise right now. But so I mean, Carson, I don't like it. I don't like missing on guys that we really liked. It scares me. Now, I'm not terrified yet. I am like if once again, if the panic button, I would, on my desk here, the red panic button, it's enclosed in a case. I have opened the lid.
Press it, please. I remember when you pressed it for Jackson Robinson.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Press it.
So
press the damn button.
What I'm saying, okay, here we go. We can joke about it. We miss on Lindenborg and Fulgaris. How are you pressing that button?
Yeah, if we miss on both of those guys, yeah, I would definitely press the button.
I mean, I'm just saying we're getting close to putting a lot of eggs in one basket. And that's always scary. You never want to put your eggs in one basket. You got to diversify your portfolio. And we're getting to a point where we're losing eggs. We're having less and less eggs. And, we're down to like, I think, realistically, I think we're after 5 or 6 guys. I mean, you could land 4 of those guys and we'll be fine.
But nowadays, the chickens have 3 more weeks to hatch eggs. So, I mean, there's a lot more time for people to enter the portal.
Yeah, but I agree with you. But I'm not convinced a ton of great guys are going to hit the portal.
One conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, how often do you see? I mean, it happens. It happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but like, when is a elite 16 points a game scorer hit the portal, in mid-April? Like, it just doesn't happen a ton. Now, you do have the guys come back from the NBA and do it. So that's another opportunity. I'm just telling you, the longer we wait, the more scarce great players get. That's the reality.
100%. But I also feel good about where we stand with the guys that we just talked about.
I do too. Yeah, but I felt good about, Dent and Guath. I'm being the negative guy today. And the only reason I'm doing this because I'm simply saying we swing and miss a couple more times. I think we're in a bad spot. We're not in a bad spot yet, but we swing and miss a time or 2 more, and we're in a bad spot. And we're
good news is Yaxel and Vulgaris are, I think, the 2 best players on the whole list that we talked about.
I do too. Vulgaris, I love for what we do. Mm-hmm. And Yaxel, the best player in the portal, in the whole portal. and I'm not about remaining. I'm talking about of everybody that entered the portal, he's the best player.
And I don't even know if it's that close. Like,
I don't think so either.
He is absurd.
He can turn himself into a lottery pick.
Oh yeah.
Because he also, like what we do offensively, where you kind of run through your bigs a little bit. I think that you could do some special stuff with.
He could be the Amari Williams that can shoot, pass, dribble, everything.
And he's also just another all name team list.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Yaxel.
Yeah, big Yaks.
That's an all name team. So, but I guess that's what I'm saying, Carl. I think maybe I'm a little over worried. I think maybe you're a little underworried. I'm just we miss on this Yaxel kid. I get scared because he now, I think, is our coaching staff. He's the vision for our best player, our stud, to run this team around. Obviously on top of Ortega, but like, kind of like to be an even better Amari Williams.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's where I get scared. If you miss on him, we're going, uh-oh. I think we land Fulgaris. I feel pretty confident in us landing Fulgaris. Yaxel is where I kind of go, please give us this team.
I agree with you. I think Yaxel takes your team from like a good team to a title contender just by being on your team.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't think it's a crate. I mean, he is the best player in the transfer portal. That's not no over exaggeration. That is reality. He's a stud. I mean, his stat line is one of season-long stat line. I kind of want to read it just because it's nuts. I mean, his season-long stat line is he averages like 17 points. All right, Yaxel Lindenborg averages 17.7 points, 11.4 rebounds, fourth in the nation there, 4.2 assists. I'm pretty sure that would have led Kentucky this year. I got to double check that because I think Lamont.
It'd be close. I think, but you might be
52.2% from the field. And then we've got 1.8 blocks, 1.7 steals per game. I mean, while shooting about 36% from three, 76% from the free throw line as a big. I mean, I don't know what much more you could ask for.
Well, I was sold when I heard that his defensive rebounding rate percentage was almost as high as Oscar Tshiebwe's. So if you can run the floor and shoot and score like that and then rebound like Oscar, good Lord.
Yeah. So he's one of the best players he'll be an All-American candidate next year, wherever he goes. And I think from watching the film 1 year, I just think a prove year at a school like Kentucky would serve him well. So I
think scouts will relay that to him too. But I think it's between us and Michigan for him right now. Those are two teams that have the lead for him.
Michigan's got a lot of players though. I don't know. And Danny Wolf still has.
And didn't they get Marez Johnson from Illinois?
I haven't heard. They got a bunch of guys today. Well, they got Kadu.
I'm pretty sure they got Marez Johnson from Illinois.
I saw something about him today.
He plays the 4 as well. So, like, that could be a situation where Yaxel might be turned off to go there. Yeah, he did commit to Michigan. So that could be something to watch for the Yaxel sweepstakes.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to switch and talk a little bit about Jaron Pierre for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think we are in good with him because Pope flew down to Dallas to go see him last night. And so I think we're probably in a pretty good position with him. He plays for Jacksonville State. He actually led the NCAA in points at 777, which is pretty good number, 777. That's the holy number. But he's a 6'5" guard. He averaged 21.6 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, 3.8 assists. So he can do it all. Conference USA Player of the Year. He's a freak athlete. Did you watch the tape on him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah. I'd say this right now. If you get him, if you get Fulgaris, and you get Yaxel to go with Ortega Owe and Jasper Johnson and the Caden Lewis and Malachi Moreno and Brandon Garrison and Colin Chandler. I think that we're going to be. So what I'm saying is, yes, I'm panicked. And as I've said, to reiterate my point, I am panicked because if we miss those guys, I think we're then in a tough spot. But if you just land those guys, those 3 players right there, and then we'd probably go, and I'm telling y'all, Cam Williams is going to be a star. But You land those three guys, Fulgaris from Robert Morris, Yaxel from UAB, and Pierre come out here from Jacksonville State. I'm just telling you right now that team is elite. That's a top 10 basketball team right there. Knowing you have Ortega back, you'd probably go get two kind of Ainsley Almanor-esque pieces.
Hey, and then we didn't even talk about the Ainsley position that was in Lexington yesterday. I think he could play the Ainsley spot way better than Ainsley played it. Mackenzie Mbako from Indiana. He's a proven player from the Big Ten. I think he's a stretch four guy. I think he comes in as off the bench type of guy. He was a former 5-star, so he's got the upside there for sure. He's got the NBA upside. I think him under Mike Woodson just wasn't clicking. I mean, it was anything under Mike Woodson was hard to click. But I'm excited about Mbako and what he could bring to the table for us.
He also averaged, 12.2 points. It's not like he's just some random guy that came in. He's not one of those guys that, played 10 minutes a game at average of 4 points. I mean, he was a legit dude for their team. Like, I think that $1 million for Mbako is what scares me. That's what I'm not a fan of. That's just knowing, how we don't know the inner workings of how much NIL money we have, and we don't know that. But I mean, I bet you $1 million is not it's $1 million, but I bet it's a significant chunk of it. I like him. That's just a lot of money. And that's I want him. I want to take him. I would take him for that price. I'm simply saying
I would take him for that price and that piece. Like if he's coming to be a starter, I would say probably not. But if he's coming and he knows his role as a bench guy coming off the bench, then heck yeah, I would take a project piece on him. Imagine him, Caden and Cam Williams coming off your bench.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but we've now got former 5-stars coming off our bench. That a dude, once again, not like he was a total bust. He averaged 12.2 points a game last year at a Big Ten school. Like,
no offense, but imagine Mark Pope when Mackenzie Mbako and a Caden and Cam Williams are coming off your bench instead of Travis Trent and Ansley. Yeah. Like, it's as much as I love them playing for us this season, I think you definitely boost in the talent category there.
Yeah, it's going to be a different ball game with those with players like that. I mean, so I think Kentucky fans are hitting that panic button a little bit. I'm one of those fans that's kind of there. I'm kind of halfway there, but our path to being elite is there. And Coach Pope, this is, you know what I mean? When I talk myself off the ledge, this is what we got to understand. Coach Pope's not an idiot. Do we think Coach Pope's an idiot? Coach Pope knows what he's doing. That's like I said, I just don't like that it's you miss these guys.
Like the Magoon situation, right?
Yeah.
As much as we wanted him, Coach Pope knew what he was doing.
Yeah. And the whole thing, I don't remember who reported that, but like he put the whole thing of like if he's had injuries and we're going to kind of do this, like, the contract's not fully guaranteed, which is sad that that's a part of college basketball, but it is. And it was a smart move by Pope, I think. But
yeah, we talked about it. We knew his injuries beforehand. So, I mean,
exactly. So I guess what I'm saying is our path is there. You go get Pierre, Fulgaris, and Yaxel, and then bring in like Mbako to come off your bench and play your Ainsley Almanor role on top of a guy, pretty good guy on the roster already named Ortega Owe, and your 5-star freshman.
And Colin Chandler somewhere down there, somewhere getting better.
Yeah.
And Trent Noah and BG. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So I that's my point. I am, like I said, I've now, you've talked me down to I am 6.5 scared. This conversation made me feel better. Because what I'm realizing, Pope's not going to let this. Do we think Mark Pope's going to let this fall through? This is going to go poorly?
Dude, he flew to Minnesota down to Dallas yesterday. He went from here
to the Naders
to Dallas.
Yeah.
He's working his ass off. So,
I mean, Mark Pope, if NIL is an issue, he'll say, here, I'll give you $1 million out of my salary. I mean, Mark Pope's going to get it done. That's the reality. That's what we have to understand. Mark Pope is going to get the job done. That's where I think those concerned. You're allowed to be concerned. I understand the concern. I'm still a hair concerned because, things can come out. You never know. I mean, what if other schools throw just a freaking, here's a blank check. Here's the actual blank check write down a number, and come play for us.
Exactly.
This stuff can happen. That's why it gets scary. But Mark Pope's going to put a good team together, and we've already got a good base.
I want to make this point too. As much as we're concerned in seeing other players commit elsewhere, look at the good teams. Like Auburn's going to lose their whole roster. Have they got KJ Hall or Keyshawn Hall? That's it. Like none of these teams have built their rosters either. Like the good teams, Louisville's getting players. Congrats. Yeah. But all the teams that have actually played for a while and didn't get bounced in the first game, it's taken a while. It's taken a while to get good players. So just be a little more patient with Coach Pope.
Yeah.
We've got some good stuff in store.
Pat Kelsey's had more time on his hands,
It's just
but seriously, Aaron Gershon put out a really good tweet yesterday. Did you see this one, Carson? And it was talking about how, in essence, saying like listing the teams. Let's go find this exact tweet. It was a pretty good one. Okay. For the panicked crowd, of the 16 SEC teams, 7 have 1 transfer portal commit right now. And obviously Kentucky's one of those. We do have a portal commit. Only 3 SEC teams, South Carolina, LSU, and Ole Miss, have multiple. A&M's in a coaching search. Auburn, Arkansas, OU, A&M, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi State, Tennessee, and Vandy still haven't landed a player yet. It is super early. And it's true. It's a good point. So it is.
We didn't have our first commit for last year until 2 weeks from now last year.
And still put together a pretty darn good roster.
Made Sweet 16.
Yeah. So
didn't have any returnees either, or Jasper or Malachi or Caden waiting on you.
Yeah. So that's my take on the matter. That's why I'm a little bit concerned. This conversation made me feel better because it's like I've gotten through to my brain. Like I said, Mark Pope's not going to let this team not be good. We know that. Like that's the reality. So I feel better about it. But Carson, you want to talk a little bit about Malachi in the All-American game?
Yeah, I was going to talk about him a little bit. I mean, he looked good, did he not? He had 9, 5, and 1 in 15 minutes. But the funny thing to me was he was open the whole game. They were just chucking up threes. You could tell he was getting frustrated.
I was getting frustrated
because it was like, just give him the ball, let him work. But man, and then him knocking down that corner 3. You can see the vision. You can see the vision right there, right then and there. He is just so fluid for his size. I think getting in the strength and conditioning program a little bit, I think he's way more ready than I even thought he was. So that was really exciting to see out of Mr. Moreno.
Yeah. I had my concerns about Malachi Moreno, as everyone did. And I've talked about him, and I voiced them. And I said, I need to be proven wrong. My concern was he is guarding 6'4" dudes. That's the reality. I would hope at 7'1" in Kentucky high school basketball that you can average 22 and 15 and 5. I would hope, right? I wanted to see it on display against other elite competition, and he was great. 9 points. He was like 4 or 5 from the field. Got 5 rebounds, 3 offensive. Love that. 2 blocked shots, one of which came out on the perimeter and sent a shot back.
3-pointer. Yeah.
And then, and Boff told me that you all talked about somebody else that had a good performance in the McDonald's All-American game. Yeah, Nico Bundalo. I can't wait to buy that jersey. I'm sticking to that claim.
Yeah, you love Nico.
To the Nico Bundalo claim. He's at Washington.
Dude, speaking of, Washington also got the German kid we were after. What is Washington's NIL looking like? They got great Osobor last year. I mean, does Washington just have all the NIL money in the world, or what's going on out there?
I don't know. Oregon obviously is where it has Nike. And what does Washington have? Adidas? Like, I don't know. I mean,
they throw fish. They catch fish out there.
They do that. Yeah. But so yeah, Malachi Moreno. I mean, that's all I need to see. Like I said, he can do it. He will play next year. He will have a relevant minutes. Yeah, maybe add 15 pounds of muscle to the kid. But that's not going to be hard.
What impresses me the most. Like you can tell he's like a really good finisher, and that I feel like with Brandon Garrison and Amari Williams last year, you just didn't have that finisher at the center position. Where, I mean, Amari did it sometimes, but he was very inconsistent. Where you just back you down and get a bucket. I feel like Moreno's like he can school you in the post.
Yeah, with post moves, not just being bigger, but post moves.
Yeah, a lot like Andrew Carr, how he would kind of pick you apart down low.
But I think obviously Moreno's a little bit bigger than he is.
A little bit stronger, a little bit faster. Yeah.
So no, I'm with you on that. All right, Carson. Anything else before we call it a day?
That's all I got really. But I mean, I'm really excited about where this could go. I think
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if we have one or two more by the next time you see our show.
Yeah.
Commitments. Because the dead period starts today. Am I right? Later tonight.
And what does that mean? You can't go visit them?
You can't talk to them. You can't talk to recruits anymore. And it's done until April 11th, I think. So that's a long time. So I think there'll be a lot of decisions made in that amount of time. So hopefully they go in our way.
Yeah, no, I am in agreement with you on that. So yeah, we'll see what show wise, if we get a commit, maybe we'll hop on and do something. We're gonna play it by ear, but tentatively we'll see y'all on Monday. Unless we get a commit, and we'll try and well, at least or maybe YouTube short or something out to y'all. So
yeah, I got one more thing.
Yeah.
I know we're really bummed about Keeneland being canceled, but I want everyone out there to be safe. I know these storms have affected a lot of us. I know last night was really scary. And so everyone just be aware this weekend, stay safe. Got to stay safe, Kentucky.
Yeah, no kidding. My bed is right next to a window. And I was like, I'm going to get Final Destination. Like, we're just going to see something's going to crash through this window. And I'm going to get a glass shard through the jugular. But
I got an Amber Alert at 1:35.
I got it at 3. And then freaking Bill Michael Collins calls me. He's like, you got to come downstairs right now. And I'm like, dude. So I go down there and just lay on the floor in our unfinished basement, just on this little piece of carpet, and just like sleep for like half an hour. It was miserable. Well, Cameron just said, screw it, and slept in his bed upstairs. I don't care.
That's what I did. I stayed asleep.
Yeah.
Like if it gets me, it gets me. Congrats.
Yeah. I told Mike was like, get Cameron when you come downstairs. And I'm like, Cameron would rather get tornadoed than me wake him up. I know that. He would rather.
Some people are just like that.
Yeah, he would rather get tornadoed than me bring him downstairs. So, yeah. So, all right. Hey, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll get, if we get a commit, we'll toss something up. We'll figure it out. You can follow our Twitter. Obviously, if we get a commit, we'll put some videos and some content out there talking about it. We'll get some pods up. But yeah, plan on seeing y'all on Monday. If we get a commit, we might throw something up. So be ready for that. If you hit that subscribe button, it'll come to your feed. So really appreciate that. Everyone have a great weekend. Let's get some commits. Go Cats. And we'll see you next time right here on the Wildcats Today podcast.